Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the LaunchDay Shorts podcast. I'm your host, Dean Cvetkoski, a.k.a. WhoDean, and today in studio, we have not just any accountant, not just any financial advisor, the one, the myth, the legend, who is my accountant, Angelo Tzaidas from ATvisory. Angelo, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Dean. That's an awesome introduction. I'm well. I'm
That's
well.
good, man. That's good. I always brag to almost everyone. I like the myth, the legend. I love that when I go around to people and I'm referring, business your way. I'm always like, oh man, a lot of people always thought he was a myth, but turns out he's a bloody legend. So, you know what I mean? I love that. I do love that.
That's great feedback.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
awesome feedback.
Absolutely. And so for those that are, listening at home, or the office or in the car or the shower, I always say this, right? We have listeners in the shower, Angela. You wouldn't believe it. Uh, right? For me, Angelo is like a little hidden war chest. And that for me, I'm telling you now, if Russia and the Ukraine, decided to go into like a finance war, an accounting war, they'd be looking to recruit Angelo as their chief. Let me tell you, I know you're sort of looking there going, oh shit, how do I take on this endorsement? But it's so true, right?
I'm going red.
It's so good. I love that. I love that. Angelo, listen, man. Look, we've known each other, geez, how many
Oh,
years now? Almost 18 years?
yeah, close to 20 now, I reckon.
Jesus Christ. That kind of
It's been
blows
a
my
hot
mind.
second.
It blows my mind. I think 20 is because I'm only 28 this year, right? So
That's weird.
I met you when I was 12 and turning 13 the following year. So I was 12, I was in high school. So what's that? 10 years plus 6, 16 years.
16 years, yeah.
Wow, that blows my mind. That really
Oh,
blows my mind. I didn't actually think of that until today.
it's been a great 16 years.
It has been a great 16 years. It's been a great 16 years. So a bit of a backstory. Angelo and I went to high school together. He was in the grade above me. Man got school captain as well. So, you could see that he's definitely highly accomplished in everything that he does. So, it's really good. I'll stop the pampering now. We'll stick to business, right?
Oh no.
Absolutely. Listen, Angelo, there's one thing I never actually asked you. And
Okay.
that's why did you get into accounting?
Look, I got into accounting because I liked helping people.
Okay.
I realized growing up, a lot of people just weren't good with numbers,
Mm.
and because of that, people just were making, I don't want to say the wrong mistake, but just weren't understanding the causes that they were, or the
Like actions have consequences.
actions have consequences, exactly. And so I wanted to kind of put myself in a position where I can help as many people as possible while doing something that I like.
Mm.
I like talking to people. I like helping people. Everyone's got money issues, so there you go. And that's how I kind of became an accountant.
But, you could have chosen anything, Angela. You could have started a charity. You could have fed the homeless to help people. You could have, was there any deeper, sort of meaning for you? Was there a passion associated with numbers for you?
Look, I guess I like solving problems.
Okay.
And in the tax and accounting world, there there's more than one way to skin a cat. And because of that, I'd always like for finding an opportunity where, okay, I might save this person 10 grand in tax, but maybe if we do this, we can save them 15.
Mm.
And so doing stuff like that just kind of motivates me just to kind of keep everything above board, but at the same time, you don't want to pay more tax than you have to.
Mm.
And
Mm.
and that's been my, I guess, personal motto to help people. Because
I
the more
love that.
money they have, the more money they can then use to grow and help others.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that completely. And look, I'm obviously one of the lucky people that have, been able to receive that kind of benefit from someone like you as well, right? Because I mean, oof, yeah, I've been down an interesting road over the however many years that I've been in business, and I think looking back now, I think I followed you everywhere. So every single firm that you went to, I think I followed you to every single one of them, even from when you were a junior. You
You
know what I
did.
mean?
You
Yeah.
did from my
So where,
first
where
one
did you
down at
start your
Liverpool.
career, man?
So I started at a firm called Silver and Young in Liverpool. They
Yes.
had a great boss. His name was Angelo too,
Yeah.
and it was a father and son for so Angelo and Dimitri. They were great mentors. They taught me a lot of what I know, and I respect them so much for that.
Mm, I love that. I love that. So taking me through the journey. So it was Silver and Young, and
Yeah.
then what's the kind of sequence of events? What were you doing at the time? Were you studying? Like, run me through that.
So basically, I got my silver job at Silver and Young by just working for them, 2 or 3 days a week, unpaid, because I just wanted to kind of get into the industry, get my foot
Good.
in the door. And after a couple of months, Angelo realized, okay, I can't get rid of this kid. Uh, I want you to go do the H&R Box tax course. Go do that, and I'll give you a job. So I did the course while studying full-time uni and doing the part-time work, and I stayed there for about 4 years, and I grew quite a lot. And then I kind of felt like I hit like a wall
Mm,
at the time, and I actually got headhunted by a firm in the city.
right.
And so I stayed there for a bit, again, while focusing on uni, and then said, okay, you know what, I want to finish my degree. And so
Mm,
I went back full-time uni, finished my degree that semester, and ended up at a place called PLA Management Group.
okay.
And I basically stayed there for 7 years. And within those 7 years, I helped manage two mergers or two acquisitions, and ended up in a firm called Kelly Partners.
Very interesting, man.
Very interesting.
Very, very interesting. And that going through all of those different firms, like I was there for all of those journeys, right? And I could imagine, because I think yeah, like all the things that took place and all the sequence of events. I think what I'd be more interested in, right, is why did you decide to go out and take the giant leap of faith of being on your own? What was the reason behind that?
Look, I think the main reason behind that was I realized as I got into bigger and bigger firms, you lost that client touch, that
Mm,
relationship building that I'd spent 7 years on at PLA was just getting diminished, and the clients just weren't getting looked after the way I think people should be getting looked after. You're
mm,
not just a number, you're a person. You're a person who's business who employs other people. And for me to continue growing in the way I wanted to grow and to be able to provide people the services that I think they need, I needed to go out on my own and do my own thing. And then that's how advisory was born.
nice, nice. Love that, man. I love that. That's you know, I've always said this, and you're very much a people person from my point of view. You've always wanted to go out of your way to help, and you're right. So you got into accounting to help people, and then see, and this is what's really good about the decisions that you've made is that you've looked at the situation that you're in, and you've gone, this doesn't align with my values. And so then you've evolved from that and said, nah, well, for me to be able to truly align with my values, I need to go out on my own so I can help people the way they need help. Not just seeing them as another number on the board, but seeing them as uh, you know, seeing them as people and seeing them for who they are, and offering tailored advice to them. And honestly, I've been privy to that luxury from you, I suppose, for however many years, right? And it's been great. And the amount of problems that have been solved, some strategic moves on how to do this and how to do that. I won't go into too many details because there's some gray areas, right? So, but but it is. It's not like it's not that we're doing anything dodgy. What we're doing is we're just kind of strategically doing it to gain some benefits, right? So,
Correct.
you know what I mean. So, like for me, I'm very aware of that personal touch, and it has been great because I like regardless of the friendship. It's the same for a lot of other people. You just pick up the phone and have a quick chat, and hey, Angelo, this is what I need, and what are your thoughts on this? And that's the kind of experience that I've had. So, and all the people that I've referred to as well, they've all shared the same sentiment. They're like, oh, we really love the personal touch. We can give them a call. Some accountants don't call until a couple of days later. You know what I mean? Things like that. So,
Exactly. And you want to be able to call your advisor.
yeah.
That's it. You want to be able to pick up the phone and say, okay, cool, Ange, I need this. Can you please help me now? Right.
Mm, mm.
And when you're making deals of up to, $1, $2, $10 million, you kind of need that point in contact to be available.
Do you think that do you think there would be a time when you might be in a situation where you've superseded the ability for you to personally actually give that one-to-one? Or do you think that regardless of the growth of the company, you would still in some way, shape or form make contact with your clients?
Look, this is where I think I want to tread a bit differently to most accounting firms. I
Mm,
want to be able to hire a team that have the same values as me, so
mm,
that
mm,
they are able to pick up the call and talk to their clients, and the clients are happy to call them,
mm,
and they will get the exact same amount of advice that I would give. However, in saying that, I will always be available for the clients.
mm.
I've had some people call me up at 11, 12 a.m. at some points, and I've still picked up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Wink, wink, Dean.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But I think in order to, well, one of the main things that I think advisory prides itself on is the relationships that you grow.
Mm. Yeah. No, definitely, man. Definitely. And that's what do you think from those relationships, have you fostered or cultivated any new sort of relationships that would also mutually benefit you through the process as well?
100%. I mean, I've got some clients who I actually act as a middleman for now,
Mm,
because I link client A to client B
mm,
and vice versa. And then it's at the same time as clients being able to do cool things like this thing,
yeah.
like doing interviews is awesome. I haven't done one before, and it's so far so good.
I couldn't tell, man. You seem like you were a pro at this.
It's all the off-site training you've given me.
Yeah, absolutely. All those phone calls, all the content I've shared. See, guys, everyone that's listening, see, Angelo's smart. He follows me and he follows what I do online and he takes notes. See, someone's doing their homework. It's a good trait to have, Angelo.
Follow, like, and subscribe.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, that's really good, man. That's really good. So, look, what's the goals for you at the moment? Like, where are you at in your business? Where are you heading? What's the goal to achieve this year? I'd love to hear more about that.
So the goal this year is basically to help at least 10 more businesses. That's my personal goal. And now the businesses that I'm looking for aren't massive corporates.
Mm,
They're your mum and dad small businesses that aren't sure what to do with their business in terms of tax, or to kind of grow them and what that looks like. So the goal is just to keep helping people.
okay, that's awesome. And do they just have to be mum and dad businesses? Like, is that who you're specifically looking for, or are you
Yeah,
open to
look,
other people?
open to other people as well. Like, let's say investors
Mm-hmm.
looking to buy their first, second, third, fourth investment property,
Mm,
right? Or tradies looking up, okay, do I open up my plumbing business? Do I not?
mm,
What are the pros and cons? Do I
mm,
open it
mm,
up in
mm.
a company? Do I open it up in a trust? Or just keep it under my name as an ABN?
Yeah, love that. And when you say this year, because you're an accountant, you're talking about this financial year, you're looking to help 10 more people. Is that right?
Of course I am. Now till
Yeah,
June.
that's it. Until June, right? And then in July, we're going to have new goals, right?
Exactly.
Good to
And then I'm going to
clarify.
up it to about 200 businesses for the full financial year.
Good, good. That's awesome, man. And so there's growth plans. Do you have employees? Is it just you at the moment?
Yeah, so I've got one employee about to potentially take on another one.
That's awesome.
So it's just slowly growing the team, making sure they're the right fit, and just training them up at the moment.
Yeah, giving them
And
that
it's
that personal touch, the Angelo touch, where you can inspire them with a bit of culture. You know.
exactly, and it's really rewarding because you get to see people grow from a small person to a person who's now got a wide range of knowledge, not just in the tax world, but in real life knowledge as well.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, I have a question, right? So, a lot of businesses they go out, and I see this mistake a lot. I was no kidding. I was just speaking to, a friend of mine. I won't say who, but I was just speaking to a friend of mine who was saying, "Oh man, I owe like $30,000 of tax to the ATO,"
Yep.
and they've been trading. They registered for GST, etc., and so on. And then I asked him, I was like, "Oh, I'm like." Okay, like have you considered, I go, if you can't afford the debt, have you considered perhaps looking at it and saying maybe we have to liquidate, you know? And then he turns around to me and says, "Oh," he goes, "I can't." He goes, like, "I don't know how that would work. Can I do that as a sole trader?"
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? What would be your advice to him? Because he'll watch this, right? And I'll send this to him. What would be your advice to him as a accounting professional?
There actually is something that you can do that's like a liquidation for a person that's not going bankrupt.
Okay.
So there is an option. Um, that option is a little bit expensive, but the alternative is bankruptcy, which it's not going to look good on his credit file for
Like
the
he's
next 7
happy,
years.
like he's happy to pay it, but then it would put him at a very big disadvantage. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Well, look, I'd have to sit down with him and kind of go through his income and expenses, and it could just be a simple negotiation with the ATO. That could
Mm,
just say, okay, cool, this is where we are, this is all we have. We either go into a payment plan, we go into a PIQ, or a negotiation, or we go bankruptcy. We just have to sit down, look at the or the four options, and
mm.
determine what's the best way forward.
So you can negotiate with the ATO.
You can. It's a bit tricky, and it
Okay.
depends on who you have on the other on the phone on the day
Mm-hmm.
and who picks it up. But it's possible.
Okay.
It's possible.
Okay. And you've done negotiations with the ATO before?
I've done a couple before.
That's good. That's good. See, like I'm sitting here going, wait, hold on, this big government agency, and you're talking about negotiating? Like, aren't they just assholes? And they go, no. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of how I perceive it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, look, they're not always assholes. They honestly, the ATO wants to work with businesses that want to work with them.
Okay.
So it's not, if you want to rort the system and you kind of want to take all the money and run, well, they don't want to work with you. They will hit you with everything they've got. But if
Mm.
honestly you're in a bad place, they will do what they can to try and help you within reason.
Yeah, of course. Of course. They have policies, they have procedures, but there's wiggle room,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool, man. That's really cool. But on the back of that conversation, right? You know, you look at how important it is to have, the right structure in place. Now, in
Correct.
in his case, it would have just been as simple as having, like a company structure.
Yep.
But I want to go more elaborate. I want to go more into detail, like how important is having the right structure. And if you've got any like stories to go with that too, right? But how important is it having the right structure based on the activity? That's what I'd love to know. And the other thing I'd love to know, just on the back of that as well, if there's so, because you might have a certain structure you propose for things like investment, business, this, that, and the rest of it. And then how does it all come together? I'd love to just get you to paint a picture for it, if that makes sense.
Okay. So obviously you've got different structures, which you've just said. There's depending on what you want to do, depends on the structure that you use. So if you want to run a business and there's a lot of risk involved in that business, so let's say you're a construction company
Yep.
and this is the typical construction company that runs away with your money. But the
Yeah.
reason why they're able to do that is the government sees a company as its own separate legal entity.
Correct.
Now, what that means is provided that there's no negligence or fraud within that company, anything that happens in there stays in there. So if a guy goes and breaks his leg trying to lay some bricks, it's happened before. What will happen is they can't sue the director of the company. They can only sue the company. And what that does, that allows the mum and dad who own the business to continue to run the business and not fear for losing anything that they've built personally just because some guy accidentally didn't follow procedure and he slipped on a brick and hurt himself.
Totally. Yeah.
Now, if you want to invest into, let's say, property, right? A lot of people in Australia love purchasing property in their super funds or in trusts.
Okay.
And there's multiple reasons for that. Super funds have got lower tax rates. Trusts give flexibility on distributions. And you can also minimize land tax when you've bought a couple. So there's some really great benefits of getting the right structure in place. And let's say you're growing your business. So let's say you start off with $1 million business and then you want to grow it to a $10 million business or 30, 40, 50 plus. You're able to kind of implement structures to minimize tax and use it to your benefit. So I had a client who took out $600,000 from a company. They were able to issue or pay back these funds by using another trust that they had. And instead of repaying back the company in physical cash, they repaid back with trust units. Now, what that means is instead of paying $300,000 in tax, they only had to pay 50,
So
and they took out 600.
Yeah, so paint the picture for me. Let's work at it this way, right? Just to make it very clear for everyone that's listening. What was the repercussion of taking out the $600,000? How was it solved? Which we've already explained, but I want you to just be very clear on it. What were the repercussions? Like, was it intentional? The $600,000? Was it a mistake? How was it solved, and what was the outcome?
So the $600,000 was taken over a period of a couple years, and they didn't realize they took out that much. In fact, that these guys came from another accounting practice that just gave them no advice and just weren't chasing them up. And so they had a couple years of outstanding tax returns. And so as I completed them, I saw an opportunity where, hey, you've got an asset that a company uses or can use, excuse me, and we can transfer over the units in the trust instead of physically repaying the cash. So that instead of paying tax on $600,000, which is what happens when you take out money from a company, we put it on a loan, which means you delay the tax. You then issued back some of the trust units and repaid the debt that way. Now, there were some capital gains involved, but that capital gains we were able to use some small business CGT concessions. And basically, they went from a $300,000 tax debt down to 50.
How much was the tax?
300 originally, down to 50.
Wow. I hope you guys are listening, right? Because Angelo just told us about how he, with some very clever, very, very clever accounting skills and, finding opportunities. So when you took over the account, you didn't have to find that opportunity. You just had to lodge their tax returns. True?
Correct.
See? And that is the difference between an accountant who is just there to, you're just another number on the board, and someone who's genuinely looking for opportunities to save you money and put more back in your pocket, right? That just blows my mind. $300,000 and then $50,000 payable in tax. And that was all CGT, correct?
Yep. pretty much.
Wow. And yeah, obviously it'd be better paying $50,000 a CGT than it would be paying $300,000 in income tax. True?
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly
Blows
right.
my mind. Blows my mind. That's brilliant. That is really brilliant. And that's like, so they wouldn't have been able to do that though if they didn't have the right structures for themselves personally, business, etc., and so on.
Correct. Look, it was just an opportunity there that not a lot of people do have, but because they had the right structures in place and they set them up early on,
Mm.
it was there.
And see, that's the other thing too. And that's like, because I'm a very strong believer. It doesn't matter what business activity, and I know there's going to be like a million accountants out there that argue with me, yourself included potentially. But I always say, like, no matter what business you're starting, you should always just have the right structure from day one. Don't worry about, oh yeah, I'm going to be a sole trader for 6 months and then I'll register a company or anything like that. Like for me, there's the component of the fact that, well, you're going to be a company if it works out eventually anyway. And if it doesn't work out, you're just going to deregister the company. If it costs a little bit of extra money, it's $600 or it's $1,000 or it's $2,000 in total to, go to the effort of registering the company and deregistering it, BAS lodgements, and, whatever. In the
Yeah,
worst case scenario, it goes wrong, obviously the deregistration, right? But you look at those components and I say, you know what, $2,000 well spent, because if it did work out, you would have been set up from day one. And
correct.
it's, like if something did go wrong over the course of that 6 month period, you're protected from day one. I even had a recent situation, and it might not have been like legal related or accounting related, but we launched the LaunchDay shorts, and there were concerns around privacy and how we use the content and the information. I didn't think I would run into that kind of an issue so quickly, but I did. In fact, within 48 hours of announcing the free service. So, do you know what I mean? So I'm like, there's so much that could go wrong. And that's why for me, I'm kind of like, well, doesn't it just make sense to be set up correctly at the start?
Well, that's why you need the right structures in place. It helps a lot. Look, there are some benefits in not setting up a company straight away. Like you said, it's a lot cheaper to be a sole trader. But if
Mm.
risk is one of your main criteria that you want to minimize, then 100%. And at the end of the day, if you make a killing in that first year and you don't take out all the money, you're capping your tax rate at 25%.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, that's right. And that's from the company, right? Not the sole trader.
Correct.
Yeah, that's right. And that's what I mean. And the thing is as well is I kind of look at it and I go, look, if you've spent $2,000 setting up, counting BAS, this, that, and the rest of it, right? If you've spent that money on day one getting started, you've got more skin in the game. So like, I don't know if like, so I know for you might look at it from a like a point of view where you're being more conservative and, oh yeah, do you have to spend that money? And I look at it and go, this is a source of motivation. Like if I've spent that money, I've got to fucking do something about it, right? You know what I mean?
Exactly right.
Like
You don't
there's
want to
two
make it a
sides to
waste.
the sword. Yeah, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, look, hey, I'm curious, man. Is there any other like really cool stories that you can share? I mean, I know one that you don't talk about much, and I'll say it for you. And that is the fact that you were made a partner at your firm before you finished your CPA. Is that right?
Uh, almost. I got offered the position. I
Yep.
actually turned it down because I didn't think it was the right fit. It That firm didn't fit with my morals and
How good's
values.
that? And that was
So
before you finished your CPA, right?
yeah,
So the fact of the matter is that you were offered to be a partner at your firm and you hadn't even finished your CPA. But what kind of position did you hold at the time before getting offered the partnership?
so I was a manager at that time, and I basically looked after a decent portion of the client base in the office.
Yeah,
So I
got
had a
ya.
team of four, and they were killing it.
How old were you at the time?
I think 27, 28.
Yeah, 27, 28. How old are
Yeah,
you now?
about 30.
There you go. Fantastic. But 27, 28 years old. I mean, how many people with like, so when I talk about experience, right, you've obviously got more experience as an accountant in a shorter period of time. But what about how many people were working underneath you that had more years of experience in terms of working on the tools than you did?
Look, basically on my team, 3 out of the 4 people on my team had more experience than me in terms
Yeah,
of
well,
lengthwise.
yeah, in terms of years, right? So we're not
Yeah,
talking about their knowledge, we're talking about how many years they've been in the job. Let's take the
correct.
word experience out of it. Let's just say how many years on the job. So, and that's it, right? So like what was the disparity? I mean, what was kind of like the person with the most years on the job that was working under you?
I think it was about 20 years difference.
So you had someone, let me get this straight. You had someone working underneath you at the age of 27, 28. You had someone working underneath you that had been in the job for 20 years.
Yep, that's right.
Blows my mind. And you hadn't even finished your CPA.
Yep.
Well, look, I
Eh,
want to, like, I love storytelling, right? I love the stories. Tell me more. I want to know like at least one or two more case studies. This is what I'm curious about, the case studies. Give me one or two more case studies before we wrap it up.
Okay, well, here's a short one. I had a doctor who came up to me about 3 years ago, came from a different accounting firm,
Mm.
and basically, where they wanted us just to do their tax. Simple job, straightforward. I asked them to send me through the previous year's returns, and I noticed there was a discrepancy on the income that they declared versus the income that they actually received.
Hey, yes, you. I'm talking to you. And I know it looks like the interview, but it's actually not. We're taking a really quick, short break so that way you can hear me out. I really want you to hear me out here. If you are a business owner, you are building your personal brand. I mean, you could be anyone. You could be a real estate agent, you could be an astronaut, an IT professional. It really doesn't matter who you are and where you fit into the world. This interview is great for you. If you're really struggling to make content, and let's face it, right? When we get our phones out and we're like, taking selfies and doing videos that way, it just comes across as inauthentic. And the other side of that as well is the fact that it's just so hard to come up with ideas of what kind of content to create. And this is where our interviews absolutely bring a powerhouse and an arsenal of, basically a war chest in terms of your organic content marketing that you're creating. We create the TikToks and Reels for you. Here's the thing, I've got some great news. The great news is that this interview is completely free. We boost your SEO on Google because we go and feature these videos like the one you're watching on YouTube. And not only that, but we also give you free content to post to TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and all the rest of it as well. So if you haven't already, in the description down below is a link to Linktree where you'll see the opportunity for you to book your very own interview and get free content for your personal brand or your business as well. I'll see you on the other side of the screen.
And so I spent about a week digging into it, and I realized the previous accountant made an error and made them pay 50 grand more in tax than they had to.
Oh, wow.
So I called up the client and said, look, this is what's happened. And she didn't believe me.
Okay. Okay,
And
go on.
she goes, oh, you're a young bloke. You don't know what you're talking about. Anyway,
Oh, yeah.
oh, yeah, exactly right. A week later, we lodged the amended tax returns. She got that 50 grand back. She was
Yeah.
very happy. She took me out for dinner.
How good. I
It,
love that.
it was great. Um, Another situation was there was a client of mine who went through a lot in the last 6 years,
Okay.
and he had a divorce, lots of family issues, people passing away, typical life things.
I get it.
And yeah, exactly, you get it. Now he had about 700. He hadn't done his tax returns for that period of time. He ended
Mm.
up owing about 750 grand in tax.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and this is where he kind of went, okay, well, do we liquidate? Do we not liquidate? Can we negotiate with the ATO?
Mm.
And the ATO actually implemented a really cool negotiation skill called an SBR. Now, what
Okay.
that means is it's a small business restructure, which
Mm.
basically says, ATO, I need help. Let's come up with a deal. I don't want to go into liquidation.
Mm.
And he ended up, out of that 750, only paid $180,000 of that. And he
Wow.
walked away with the rest scot-free.
Wow.
And he's
And that was
still
all just part of
trading.
like the SBR negotiation or the restructuring negotiation with the ATO.
Yeah,
Wow. That's yeah. Wow. And how did that impact his life?
he just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
He was able to walk with his head held high again. For
Mm.
years on end, he was just worried, delaying everything, not trying to progress in his life. Now he's growing his business again because he can see the value in it. Go, okay, I've made a mistake. They've given me a second opportunity. I'm going to keep growing.
That's phenomenal, man.
And now he's actually offering more people jobs because he's been put in a position where he can.
And so then
So the
like
ATO is not always the big bad wolf.
and that's something that you could put forward as part of that, like as a case study, you know what I mean, in a use case towards the ATO in a negotiation as well, and be like, well, hey, we did this SBR deal with another company, and he's just because of that, he's now created 20 more jobs for Australians. You
Correct.
know what I mean? So, I definitely see the value in that. That's really cool, man. I actually really like that. That's a really good story. I love that. I love the underdog story where you come out on top, and there's triumph attached. Like I love that. That's cool. And to know that it's not just a scenario where he's just gone and taken the money and gone, I beat the ATO, but goes and keeps going, employs more people. I think that's awesome, man. It has really come back from that. That's cool. I really like that.
100%.
That's awesome. And listen, man, we're wrapping up. Was there anything else that was left unsaid that you wanted to share with everyone before we tidy up and close off for the day?
No, I think we've kind of gone through everything. You have anything else you want to say?
I have lots that I want to ask. We just don't have the time.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Absolutely. So now, good stuff. And look, Ange, there's going to be a massive line of people that are going to want to reach out to you after watching this interview. How can people find you?
So I've got a website, www.advisory.com.au. Click on there, send me an email, and I'm sure Dean will post my link somewhere.
Yep, absolutely. It'll be in the description.
Yep,
Definitely. So yeah, and that's
just that.
@visory, atvisory.com.au as well. Yeah,
Correct. That's
that's cool.
it.
And who did that website for you?
Dean, you did that for me.
Well, not me, my team did, but we did it for you. That's so guys, if you like his website, please let us know. We can make one for you too. One of the companies we operate. I love that. Angelo, mate, thank you so much, dude. Like honestly, it was really refreshing to hear some of these stories and how you've been able to help people through some very, very difficult times, myself included.
Nah, look, I'm glad to kind of tell my story, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to.
You're very, very welcome, man. Anytime you're more than welcome to come back as many times as you like. We appreciate you by all means. And guys, for
Likewise.
everyone that's listening at home, if you want to reach out to him directly as well, you can always email us as well. It's support@launchday.au. Be very happy to put you in touch and get the ball rolling, get you guys connected. Even if it's just a question, I know Angelo for a fact is just happy to share value with people. It's not all about getting you on as a client. It is about giving first. So, mate, that's an honorable thing. So hats off to you. You should pat yourself on the back for that. Definitely.
Thanks, Dean.
You're very welcome. Well, we're going to see you all on the next one coming right up. We've got plenty more interviews to come. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, leave a comment, engage. Let us know what you think of this interview and what you took away from it as well. And hey, you know what? Maybe even if you had a question, you can throw it up in the comment section as well. And we'd be very happy to help answer that as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll see you all again on the next interview.